Hello everyone, welcome back to another Ableton tutorial. You can hear some strange techno-y thing going on in the background, and that's something that we're going to be looking at today. Big shout out everyone liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube. Big shout out the Patreon members. Patreon is only €5 per month, and for today's session you'll be able to download all of this stuff. Non-Patreon members can also access today's Patreon post for just €3. What a deal! Details in the description below. So, what are we looking at today? Well, today I thought let's start at the start. I'm going to go and scratch some old records. So the idea for today's video came about from the idea that if I bring out this record here, July 1979. Don't know what that's doing. Around the center of a record, we have what's called a ride-out groove. Now, what happens with that is the needle just stays locked in that groove, going round and round and round. Obviously, when you start a record, the needle starts out here, and each groove leads into the next one. But as it gets to the middle, we have what's called, the ride-out groove, which is a locked groove, and the needle just keeps going round and round on that one groove. So what I thought I would do is take a knife. Why not? Take a knife and just cut into this locked groove and see if I can make some kind of glitchy beats out of that. So I have here 25 records, which makes 50 grooves. So I'm just going to cut some bits. And of course, we know if it's one revolution is going to be, basically one bar. So, we can make a mark here and a mark here, and we know that that's going to be the downbeat, that's going to be 3. The quarters on the clock face are going to be sort of the second beat and the fourth beat. Can make some subdivisions around here. So I'm just going to go in. How am I going to hold this knife? I'm just going to go in and make a little groove in here. A little glitchy thing. I'm going to make somewhere around here opposite for kind of the third beat. Over here I'm going to make a cut for the second beat. I'm going to make a cut here for the fourth beat. And I'm just scratching it. I'm just trying stuff. Let's make a little bit of subdivisions. So something maybe like that. Maybe something over here. I'm not really thinking about the patterns, I'm just making some cuts. So now I'm going to take that and plug it, put it on the turntable. I'll see you over there. Yeah, and so now we can hear a rhythm coming out from where I've scratched this thing up. Cool. So I have here 25 records, which makes 50 grooves. So I'm going to repeat that process 50 times. Yeah, so now I have a stack of records with some some cuts in them, a turntable, and I'm going to record all of these. So I've recorded a bunch of stuff. I've brought it into Ableton. I'm now just going to go and chop these things up and make some loops. So I have made my 40 loops here, cut up. I've done a little bit of quantizing on them. I was a little bit loose on the quantizing because I think that's going to be nice. Little glitchy sounds that are not happening 100% on the beat all of the time. Some of them they are. Patreon members, you can download this entire loop pack, all 40 loops, and non-Patreon members, I made the post available as a one-time access thing. So for €3, you can grab all of those loops as well. Link in the description below. So let's see what we can do with these loops. I'm going to explore, I'm going to make a rack so that I have a whole bunch of options at my fingertips in terms of what some things that are helpful to do with these loops. And then I'm going to look at two applications that are going to be quite different. One, a sort of more ambient approach, and one, a very techno-y approach. So first of all, let's build the rack. I'm just going to drag in a simpler, and into that simpler, I'm just going to drag one of these loops. Let's go for loop number 1. It makes sense. Now, I'm going to put this on slice mode. There we go, slice. I'm going to slice by beat, not by transient, because I want to be able to divide this up, according to the beat. We're going to go 16th notes. And I'm going to change the playback mode to through. So what that means is that whenever a particular note is triggered, it just keeps playing until a new note is triggered. And why I want to do that is going to become obvious in a little minute. So let's bang in a MIDI note. We want C1 because C1 is of course the first slice when we use simpler in slice mode. So C1 going a whole bar, and we have... I also want to make sure warp is turned on. So this means that we can change tempo, and all of the loops that I've quantized and done are also going to stay in time, which is nice. It's nice. Now, I want to be able to control a couple of things. So I'm going to bring in a pitch device, and this is how we're going to control what I'm going to call the offset, where the loop is starting. Because, of course... we're playing C1, so loop is starting at the first slice. If we were to play C#1, then the loop is going to start at the second slice here. So that's going to enable us to offset the loop against the beat. And the way we're going to hear that, actually, I'm also just going to bring in a kick drum. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, but let's just program in a kick so we can hear how this might sound in context. Already sounded quite techno-y. Okay, now we're back here. So, as you can hear, if I change the pitch here, so let's say put this up to... And we see the offset of the loop starting, which means that it's starting at a different point in the loop. So using this, we're able to then generate all kinds of different rhythms just using this one loop. So I'm going to make that a mappable thing. So let's already actually turn this all into a group. So select it, Command G, and let's open that up. Now I'm going to save macro 1 because I want macro 1 to be how I'm going to choose between the 40 samples. So I'm going to right click, map to macro 2, and we're going to call this loop offset. And I'm going to change the range of that because I don't want to be able to go below where we're at. So I'm just going to make the minimum range 0. And at most, we're going to want to go, let's see, I think it's like 31. Is that going to be the last one? If I put this all the way up? Yeah, 31. Then we're just getting this very last slice. So, because I have a 2-bar loop. So that's going to be nicely just be able to... Easy, quick way of now offsetting the start to the loop. Let's put that back to 0. I also want to be able to control the gain of the loop, so I'm just going to map that to macro 3. And again, let's constrain the range. What do we go up to? 36. We don't need to go up to 36. Let's just go up to 6. So we can go a little bit over the top if we want. I also want to bring a gate in because perhaps I don't want all of the quiet bits, because perhaps I just want the clicky bits. So let's bring in a gate here. Where have you gone? Gate. I'm going to put that in here. Bring the floor down to 0. Yeah, so I'm just going to connect this threshold to something. So let's map to macro 4. Let's call this one gain instead of volume. And let's call this gate. And I think the most I'm going to want to go up to is kind of, let's say that 10. So let's constrain that range again from gate range to -10. Yeah, so now... Cool. Okay, I perhaps also want to be able to control
a high pass filter. So let's change this filter to high pass. And again, the range on that, let's control the range on that. Let's right click, map to macro 5. Let's control the range. We don't ever want to go up that high, maybe 2000. Yeah, that's about as high as we'd ever want to go on that. Okay. Now, yeah, let's connect the transpose, the pitch as well. So let's right click, map to macro 6. That's fun. Also fun. Maybe let's leave that as max. Okay, so that's all the macroing I want to do. So I'm just going to make that nice and simple. Let's keep that one. Remember to choose how we're going to choose between which loops are getting played. Let's just press stop on that for a second, and also stop on you for a second. We don't need that to be. Come on. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now if I just simply group this, group the simpler, and I'm going to replicate that 40 times, and I'm going to put each of the separate loops into there. I'm going to make sure I have the same settings. So let's just do the first one. So I'm just going to press duplicate, going to come down, put in loop 2 in here. Going to make sure we change this to slice by beat, 16th notes. Going to make sure warp is turned on and make sure playback through is turned on. And because we duplicated it, all of the mapping we've done over on the instrument rack follows through as well. So now I'm just going to do that for all of the 40 samples. I'll probably speed this bit up because I don't think it'll be so interesting. Okay, so I now have all of my 40 loops put into here, so I can now also easily switch between the starting point of each loop. Of course, if I press play now, it's going to press play for all of them all at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the chain selector. I'm just going to bring this one up to 39 because we start at 0 in the chain selector up the top here. So 39, when I'm clicking on it, I can see it says number 39. Now I select all of these together. So shift, right click, distribute ranges equally. And now we have each of those on its own little bar. So I'm now going to right click and connect this with the macro 1. Exactly. No, undo. No, that is what I wanted to do. And now I have to select, and now I have to connect this chain selector with the macro 1 over here. So again, I right click, map to macro 1, and now we have this, and that goes all the way up. And now I just need to constrain the range on here on the instrument rack. So I'm going to go to map. I'm going to select chain selector, and I want you to only go up to 39. So now this chain selector just chooses between the samples. So let's press play. Okay, so now I can easily choose between the samples, and of course, it's only going to change the sample at the beginning of the next bar, the next time the MIDI note is triggered. We can offset where that sample is starting in the bar. Let's have a kick drum happening. A bit more gain. Bring the gate down. Try to everyone. So as you can see, nice and easy to switch between the samples. We can control the transpose, the filter frequencies and gains and this sort of stuff. So it's a nice and compact rack. I'm going to collapse all of these things now because I don't need to access them. I only need this now. So can I just press that? Yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to rename this. I'm going to rename it my Scratch Rick. Just going to drag that over into my user library, into my instruments folder over here. So that's now available for me in any project. And of course, if you access the Patreon post with these loops, you can download this rack as well for your own use. So let's have a look at a couple of different uses for this. So I mentioned one of them was going to be kind of an ambient approach. So I'm now just going to bring in sort of a generic pad. Let's use wavetable instruments, please. You can sort of stop playing for now. Yeah, a wavetable. And let's find a nice pad. Yeah, something like that, just so I can demonstrate this idea. So I'm just going to program in a couple of chords into this pad. Yeah, what chords do we want? Let's have an F. Yeah, lovely F major there. And let's yeah, I want to be able to see all the notes, please. Yeah, and now let's make it legato all the way through, please. There we go. Bring the volume a bit down on that, and it sounds like... Let's make it go for 4 bars so we can hear what's going. Let's change that to 4, and again make this legato. So now I have this rhythm that my little glitchy sounds are playing over here. So I'm going to use an envelope follower on that. So over here in audio effects, envelope follower, and I can connect that envelope follower to things that are happening inside that synthesizer. So we can see we have like these little, these little spikes. This is the incoming audio. It's just analyzing the incoming audio and giving me a signal. Let's maybe give it a little more fall off. And let's see what happens if I connect that to a couple of things in this airport pad. So first of all, I'm just going to connect it to the filter cutoff, perhaps. That's already quite nice. Now, let's say I don't want to actually hear the glitchy bits. I just wanted to hear the effect that it's having. So I can now go here and change this audio output from main to just sends only. Now I have these lovely sort of pulses happening in the synth. And of course, changing my loop and changing my offset is also going to change what's happening with that. We can make them even a bit smoother like this. Yeah, this is quite nice. So that's one sort of lovely ambient-y approach to using these sort of glitchy loops in a different setting. Now, I mentioned also I want to look at kind of a techno approach. So I'm going to two things with that. So first of all, we have this kick drum happening here. We experienced it before. It's a kick drum. It sounds like a kick drum. So of course, I'm going to change this back to main out. Lovely. So don't need the envelope follow there anymore. I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to leave it in. And now I'm actually going to duplicate this. So I'm just going to select on it, press Command G, and now Command D. So now I have 2 of the same loop playing. But now clearly, if we just go like this. We'll get these lovely glitchy sounds happening. Let's put one on the left and one on the right. Lovely backing glitchy, groovy stuff happening in the back of just a simple 4/4 kick drum happening there. Now, one more approach that we can do with this. So I'm going to turn that off. Let's turn that channel off. Let's bring in my rack. So I go to my instruments, user library, instruments folder, the scratch rack. Let's copy this over here. And so now I'm going to look at using a corpus, and we're going to make some kind of techno-y type lead or groove sounds using this. So we're going to go audio effects. We're going to go corpus. So Corpus is a physical modeling synthesis engine. It takes the incoming signal, uses that as an agitator, and then affects it according to these. So I'm also going to bring in a wonderful device that I came across, a step sequencer, but a step sequencer that we can assign to anything. I'm going to put up the link to download it below. It's a free device, or it's a pay-as-you-want device. So you pay as you want. You can understand. You're adults. You can understand what that means. So I'm going to bring that in here, and I'm just going to map that to the tuning. Yeah. That's fun. And it's very, very quick and easy to generate new patterns with this. We could change the membrane over here to perhaps a pipe. Oh, that's fun. So I'm now going to turn this into a rack as well, where I can sort of generate instant techno loops. So I'm going to connect the envelope follower. No, just the steps and the corpus I want for this. I'm going to press Command G. Going to open up the macros here, and I'm going to connect some stuff from the corpus to the macros. So I'm going to take out the envelope follower for now, actually. So we're going to connect that to macro 1. We're going to connect that to macro 2. Going to connect the pipe to macro 3, or the modeling type. We're going to connect the radius to macro 4. Ratio to macro 5. I think some of the different resonances type have different things that we map to macro 6, map to macro 7. Resonance type, this one we have. That's fun. Let's connect that to macro 8. Do we have, what happens if we keep going here? We have, nice. Okay, I think we have a lot of things from the corpus mapped over here. Now, of course, I can just hit random here. I'm going to bring the bass tuning up. Let's just stop you for a second. Oh, I want this to be on modulating. Yeah, exactly. Let's add a OTT at the end of that whole thing. So there you go. All kinds of things you can do with scratching old records, it seems. Big shout out everyone who made it this far. I hope you got something from the tutorial today. Thanks for being here. It's awesome. Till next time.